Hello everybody, it's Johnny Von Hollywood from Shockwave Studios. I just had a very busy weekend. If you have heard, back in May and then Johnny Von Hollywood June, I stated that I was going to be participating in the Orlando 48-Hour Film Project. The 48-Hour Film Project is a fun film festival weekend-long event where you draw two genres for your film to be, and then you write, shoot, and edit the film all within a 48-hour time period. I did quite a few of these back when I was in college, and they were some of the best times, so I was really excited to participate in one again after not being a part of the 48-Hour Film Project for quite a few years. This year, when I brought up that I was planning on doing the event to a few friends, I invited some of my native friends along for the Orlando 48. Those two being Johnny and Aaron Arkwright. Two of my close friends that I went to film school with were able to build this project along with me, and this was a little different than some of the ones that I had done in the past, because in the past we had a crew of about 8 to 14 people on the 48 hours that we did, whereas this one, it was generally only 3 of us along with an actor named Paul Muff, who became my friend along the way, a frequent friend of the Arkwrights over at the Cavacula bar, which we were able to shoot our short film at. So don't get riled up, folks. I didn't shoot too many behind the scenes because of the pressure that was on with the 48-hour project, but I'm going to break down what we did throughout the weekend while showing you guys some behind the scenes that I did manage to get. Let's get started with the kickoff event that apparently I may have ran a little late to. Just pick one.
Yep.
Come.
Let's see what you got. It is
Alright, sci-fi or silent film?
sci-fi or silent film.
Awesome.
Nice job. And here are the elements. All right. So the name is Edward or Edwina Diaz. D-I-A-Z. And then the prop is a fortune cookie. And the line is, "That's what I call a plan."
That's what I call a plan.
Or, "That is what I call a plan."
So, a military veteran named Edward Diaz in a sci-fi or silent film where the prop is a fortune cookie and the line is, "That's what I call a plan." For a few moments we struggled with the line, "That's what I called a plan," but we ended up putting it in, and you have to say that line. It has to be exactly that way. So we made sure that we got some good audio for that line and that moment. The fortune cookie was fun. John ran over to a Chinese restaurant and grabbed some fortune cookies, about 20 of them, and we were able to use quite a few, and he as well printed out on pieces of paper the fortunes that we wanted to be told. And then John realized this was kind of a goofy moment amongst John, Paul, and myself. It's like I'm naming apostles. John realized with a piece of paper in one of the fortune cookies you could just slide it out, and then he went and replaced the piece of paper so that way when he cracked it he was able to get it as a one shot, but was struggling with the focus.
What the fuck is wrong with this camera? Do you see what I'm going through here?
Yeah. Non-camera guys, am I right? And then the 3 of us met up at a restaurant and spent the next 4 hours there basically breaking down the plan and the idea. Since I talked about doing this project with John, I had wanted to shoot at the Cavacula bar. I thought it would be such a cool and fun experience and something a little different, while also being for the Orlando 48-hour film project. We thought we'd be cocky and get some shots over at Daytona Beach. Aaron and John basically laid out a story idea. Time was on the clock though, so John sat there on the iPad writing down all the notes from all the ideas we had, and he ended up sending it to me. And then once we went our separate ways at 12 a.m., I went and started writing the script. It was a very short script. It wasn't necessarily too complicated, but I churned that thing out, and even some of the ideas that we had in that script we ended up altering, but I'll get to that in a moment. Saturday, I ended up making my way over to them around 2 p.m. in Daytona from Orlando. Looking back on it, I feel like we should have started doing some things earlier, but it was raining. Of course, us Florida boys having to deal with rain in the Sunshine State. Now, the rain wasn't necessarily the problem, except for the fact that we had this whole sequence of beach shots that we wanted to get. With the monkey wrenches thrown in for the 48, we ended up waiting quite a bit to end up shooting. Once the rain cleared up, it was already nighttime. It was already around 10 p.m. and that's when we started getting our first shots off. And I'd say a decent amount of time. It took a little bit longer than I was anticipating it to. Now, back when I was in film school, I did do a lot of first AD work, and I am a big fan of not only safety on set, but also the time management of a set. You could tell me what your shot is, and I will learn and figure out how long it will take us to set up said shot. In this situation, it was a little different. One of the cameras we were shooting on was a Canon C100, and the goal was to get a few cool wide shots at the beach then, but of course we waited until nighttime and the lens we have wasn't able to really capture the shot the way we wanted to. So we continued with the main camera being the Lumix G5 and shot with that all of the beach shots. The main shot that we were missing was a side-by-side with the main character and the double, but it was something that we just had to scrap. After that, we went back to the bar, and as things slowly progressed throughout the night, we took a break here and there as John immediately started the edit and was flying through as I was going through and downloading the paperwork and editing a bit of Shock Wrestling myself. So we basically had to wait until closing time at 2 a.m., but around 1:30 a.m. I started going and getting some pickup shots, and then we started using our actor Paul, who thank you once again for joining our project, to get the bartender cleaning up and whatnot, and get those pickup shots and those montage shots for the beginning of the film ready to rock and roll. After the bar cleared out, it was just us alone, and myself and John took the reins and started getting all the shots off in the shot list order that I had planned out, and we're basically shooting in order. But because we decided to do a little bit of a parent trap with this film, we had to get not only shots of our main character, but the shots of the double. So basically one thing at a time and then the reverse. So we decided to do all the bartender shots first, which you can see here. It was quite fun getting certain shots that were coming from the ideas from John's head and what he was picturing to edit. Because it's super interesting when you're approaching a film and you're going to shoot to your edit. John is an editor first and foremost, so when he's working on a project like this, he's not necessarily thinking of doing 17 plus takes. He is thinking of how is this going to look in the edit? How do we want this to play out in the edit? And so that was a really fun perspective, while I basically was trying to push him to take the reins on the project. And he did. He put a lot of work and effort into it, and he supplied all of the equipment, and it was a very, very good time and very hard to get through everything we needed to get through. As the clock started ticking, I started getting angsty. I started really trying to push not only Paul, our actor, but John himself to get these shots rolling. We got to start going on, not just thinking about ideas and just talking about ideas. We need to start getting this train a-rolling because the clock is ticking in the 48-hour film project. As we got through the bartender shots, we realized there wasn't as many double shots left, but there was a certain moment that I wish we had recorded. Honestly, it might be on the security cameras. Because of the double shot that we wanted to do with the wide, we had to shoot the scene fully with our main character behind the bar and then cut the film don't move anything, and have our actor change clothes and then walk up to the bar. And my dumbass moved the bottle of kava, and I shouldn't have, because the second we moved it, I messed up the shot. I just sat there with my head in my hands. I can't believe I messed it up. So we reset, we got the shot done, and then we moved on to getting the double shots that were in the film. We ended up shooting until about 6 in the morning, and we got everything that we wanted except for 2 specific lines of dialogue that we didn't even necessarily need to get shots for. And it was rough. So after we wrapped filming, John said he could not wait to get some sleep, and then he was trying to calculate how many hours, and he said to me late Sunday night that he didn't realize that he should have gone to sleep. I myself did not go to sleep either, but there was not much that I could necessarily do while it was in John's editing bay. John was able to send me the project, and I had absolutely no time to edit it. So there was no sound design done to it, except for John hitting the clean up noisy dialogue feature and having it transition between all the audio clips, which I should have told him not to transition between all the audio clips, because it truly effed up the audio of the short film. Now, the other problem we ran into, which I should have realized with having only a 3-page long script, was the project needs to be between 4 and 7 minutes long. Our project did not meet the length requirement, so we had to extend some shots and do some extra things that we weren't necessarily expecting to do. It toughened and roughened some things out, but we ended up submitting it on time without a color grade. So John redid it with a color grade, sent it my way. The clock was ticking at 7:22 p.m. I was trying to do the best I could to adjust as much audio as I could, but it is bad. Visually, the film is fine. Now, we had this option. We could have done this. Because we drew both silent film and sci-fi, we had an idea to just make our film silent, but we would have had to do certain graphics. I believe it is my mistake as the producer for not telling John the night before, while we were waiting to shoot during the rain, to go and start making the silent film graphics. I believe that if our decision making would have been a little bit better in our choices for the 48-hour film project, we would have made it into a silent film and submitted that and not worried about the audio. We were really happy with how the Hollyland lav mics came out in our audio, but audio is so important when it comes to a film, and especially a short film. I myself, if I hear bad audio on a short film, sometimes I force myself to turn it off, because being an audio guy myself, I have learned to really appreciate audio editing when it comes to short films, movies, or TV. But this film, I wasn't even able to get my hands on, and I told John the wrong information, and that's the film that we submitted. After that, we went through and made sure all the paperwork was submitted, and then we were able to breathe and relax, and John himself made a poster that you could check out right there. Yeah, good job, Johnny boy. And as you may be able to see on that poster, it says directed by the one and only John Sekula. When it came to the time of writing those credits, we never really had a strategy in what it will come to in the sense of directing, but John really took the reins, and I said, you directed him, and I think it's really cool that I was able to work on the John Sekula's directorial debut short film in the year 2025. Now, what is our plan with this project? Like I said, we submitted the project as is to the 48-Hour Film Festival, which our screening will be September 13th, 2025, and that is where they will let us know about the awards and everything like that. This version might not get any awards. There's going to be a little bit of a producer's cut, if you will, if we had a little bit more time from it. One of the biggest things you learn from doing a 48-hour film festival like this is the allotted time is a struggle. John, of course, has learned a lot from this being his first 48-hour film project, and now understands a lot more why I was trying to put the pressure on certain moments. John is going to spend some time re-editing it to the way that he wants it to be, getting rid of some of those extended shots that he did for the 48-hour submission, and then cleaning up the color grade and spending a little bit more time on that. And after that, he will be sending it my way to be able to go through and do a complete sound mix of the audio. When I got my hands on the edit of the film to go through the audio real quick, there was a problem where we had it both on single tracks, and I wasn't able to flip it properly in time. With that being said, once I get my hands on the Premiere project, I'll be able to go through and clean things up and fix it the way that it needs to be audio wise. And the score that I made for this project were wet themed. So when I went through and just hit the simple keys to get the music that I wanted in those areas, I wasn't really composing the film. I was just laying down a soundscape. That soundscape did not come out perfectly, so the plan is to go through it and either recompose the film or do a complete new soundscape of ambient music throughout the project. So that is our plan with the 48-hour film project, and I hope you all will stay tuned for it, because this year's Scary Boxtober over on the Scary Box YouTube channel, we are going to release the short film, the one before. So yes, I cannot wait for you guys to see it, and I can't wait to actually finish the project and make it be the vision that John sees in his head. And I am so happy to not only John and Aaron for doing this project with me, but for Paul coming on board pretty much last minute to join us for the fun and the experience of doing the 48-hour film festival. Whew. Now that that's done, whew, that was stressful. There are alternate 48-hour film project competitions listed on the 48-hour film project's website that I would love to check out. A few of them I was actually quite interested in, may participate in later on this year. Now, the Miami 48-hour film project is during the Mets playoffs and the Maddie's Fight Night Gala, so I will not be participating during that one. Oh, as well as the same weekend as our premiere on September 13th at 1 p.m. for the 48-hour film festival in Orlando. So that's cool. Doing this experience again after many years of not participating in one has been a blast, and I had so much fun hanging out with my two old friends, John and Aaron, and I can't thank them enough. I cannot thank Kava Kula Bar and Lounge for letting us participate there and shoot there in the bar and have that be our setting. That was awesome and fantastic. I hope you enjoyed my rambling about the BTS of this project. I hope to give you guys some more information and behind the scenes next time I do a project like this. I didn't give myself enough time to vlog, and I probably should have factored that in. So maybe next project myself and John do, we will figure that out a little bit better. I can't wait to show you guys the film in October this year over on the Scary Box channel. And thank you all for watching today's video about the behind the scenes of what went on for the 48-hour film project. Be on the lookout for more videos on Johnny Von Hollywood, and don't forget to check out Shock Wrestling over on Shockwave Sports. Good night, everybody!